What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a spring practice report episode. It is Tuesday, March 29th. We are just 11 days away from most of the spring games kicking off. I think there's like 20 plus on April 9th. It's a big day for spring games. We will have you covered with some reaction videos on those as well, but we will be leading up into that here very soon. Again, 11 days away from a massive day of spring games. For today's show, we're going through 7 different schools. Probably the next couple days, we're going to be hitting 7, 8 or 9 schools as they are starting to get closer and closer to obviously wrapping up their entirety of spring practices. Most of these schools are allowed, I believe it's 15 practices, and a lot of these guys are getting closer and closer to that being over with. So we'll continue to hit you guys with a bunch of news with that stuff. So let's take a ride around the country, get you guys updated on some spring practice reports. All right, so we are going to start at Miami, where Felix's guy Tyler Van Dyke's big arm and ability to push the ball down the field has been a perfect fit for what Josh Gaddis is wanting to do here with their new offensive system. And according to Miami beat reporters, that he is spreading the ball all over the field. These wide receivers are running all different kinds of route combinations, and it's all just working together. Another big takeaway, completely different run game and everything they're going to be doing there in Miami. I still think Jalen Knighton's the guy there, but I'm very interested to see what that means. Tight end wise, it looks like it's going to be Elijah Arroyo, as Will Mallory is out with the shoulder injury. They have not specified the seriousness of the shoulder injury, but he was seen at practice again today in a sling. If there's any kind of even decent shoulder injury, he could be out for a while. So it could be wheels up for Elijah Arroyo and Jaleel Skinner, the incoming freshman. Will Mallory was definitely impressing, as was Arroyo, but he is out for a decent amount, at least right now. For the wide receiver position, we've mentioned a couple guys. Rashad Smith, Xavier Restrepo have been separating. As of the past couple practices, it seems like Xavier Restrepo is separating as the top slot receiver. Rising sophomore Jacoby George is separating on the outside and has been making the most impressive playmaking stuff there. And Keyshawn Smith has been the other guy who's really kind of flashed on the outside here, especially going deep. Those seem to be the 3 top wide receivers as of now for Miami. So Rashad Smith was getting a lot of talk early on. He started to fade a little bit. It really seems to be Restrepo, Jacoby George, and Keyshawn Smith, who are now kind of the top guys for Miami as we are finishing up week 2 of practices for them. All right, let's go on over to the Big 12. We're going to hit a couple schools here. Baylor. Baylor has not had a lot of news come out, unfortunately. I've looked very hard at a lot of this stuff, watched a bunch of videos, listened to a podcast. There's just not a lot of news coming out of Baylor's camp, unfortunately. Coming into today, really the only thing that's come out of there is that they know feel that Jerry Bohannon needs to play better at the QB position. However, the past couple of days, it's been another QB that's quietly been getting a lot of buzz for them, and that is C.J. Rogers, the 6'3", 205 zero-star QB. He's been impressive with the throws that he's been making, and a guy that they think has been the best quarterback out of everybody there. For me, I want the quarterback at Baylor for my fantasy teams, just with what they're able to do, the offenses that they run. So he's the guy that I might be willing to snag late in a lot of my C2C drafts. There's going to be 2 quarterbacks we mentioned today that I'm grabbing at the end of my C2C drafts that I think have some very sneaky upside going into the future. And again, the Baylor quarterback's one of them, and CJ Rogers is getting a lot of love. Now, if Thiegel's watching, who's in our Discord, Austin Novosad is committed there and is coming out next year. So I do think he is the future. But CJ Rogers is getting a lot of love, or at least quietly. There's been quote-unquote whispers about how impressive he has been here at Baylor. Going to Oklahoma. Evers. Nick Evers, the freshman, has continued to look really good. He's been very impressive in the screen game and then completing passes deep down the field. What's been fun for apparently a lot of the people to watch here is the fact that he's been able to hit players and make plays from multiple different arm angles and just looks completely comfortable. Doesn't seem like there's anything he can't do in practice, are the reports coming out. At the wide receiver position, Marvin Mims, Theo Weiss, and Farouk seem to be the top three starters. Those guys seem to be the guy who are getting most of the love and all of the pub here at Oklahoma. So those are the three that I would definitely be paying attention to there. And we've talked a little bit about it before, but just to reiterate, so Gavin Sawchuk is not in camp, and Javonte Barnes is continuing to get a lot of love from this coaching staff. Marcus Major and Eric Gray are likely the top two. I would think that Gray's probably going to get more carries, but from what I'm hearing and seeing, they really do like Major, so we'll see how those two split. Not looking good for my guy Gavin Sawchuk, who seems to be the RB4 right now on the depth chart, as he was not an early enrollee. Javonte Barnes, who I want to say was 2 or 3 practice videos ago, we talked about how the coaching staff here just loves him. They say that he is special and different. Over to TCU. The staff has done a really good job here, apparently, of splitting reps between Max Duggan and Chandler Morris. They've been getting, they're about 4 practices in now, and it's been even split for every single one of those practices. There seems to be a very equal split, too, on who is the better quarterback for the most part, but the past couple practices, Chandler has apparently had the better practices. He's had a bunch of throws that people were just not expecting him to make, and has definitely made some more impressive ones than Max Duggan. I think all of us from the fantasy side of things want to see Morris win the job just because of what that can do for Johnston and DJ Allen whenever he's able to get onto the field. But we'll see. He's definitely, at least the past couple of practices, apparently looked more impressive than Max Duggan, and neither has really pulled away from the job, and they are getting split reps. I do want to mention Sam Jackson, who I brought up a couple episodes as well. He still continues to get the third team reps and is definitely locked in behind those two as QB3. Early on, he was getting a lot of love as for what he was doing at the quarterback position. It seems like he struggled, apparently, according to these reports, the past couple. He'll make some really good throws and then some struggle to kind of really, I guess, deal with consistency here. But they do like the way that he passes the ball, what he can do outside of the pocket, and he's made plays with his legs as well in practice. So Sam Jackson, a guy to watch for the future here for TCU. And then, interestingly enough, running back. Amani Bailey is the guy getting a lot of love here at a TCU camp for being the best running back because he's just completely different than the rest of the guys on the roster, and he brings an entirely different element to the backfield, is the reports that are coming out of TCU. So, talked a lot about all the other guys. Amani Bailey seems to be getting all of the love here for TCU in what he's been doing. I was trying to pull up. Miller has been a guy I know a lot of people have been very high on. Keandre Miller has been a guy a lot of people are very, very high on, and I think they're taking him pretty early to expecting him to be the lead running back for TCU. May still end up happening, but I just went back through 3 different practice report stuff and going through and looking at that stuff, watching videos on what they were talking about. And Amani Bailey is the guy who's getting more love than any other running back on the TCU roster. Last team that we're going to talk about in the Big 12 today, Texas. Not looking good for my prognostications here on Quinn Ewers, as Hudson Card and Ewers have both been kind of hit and miss in the drills here the past couple days. They have been working side by side. And if you ask a lot of the people there, they're saying right now that the edge is going to go to Card on who gets the job. He has continued to take the first team snaps as of even up to today, Tuesday, according to a lot of the reporters over at Horns 24/7. Now, the reports have also said that Ewers is clearly the better passers and he looks better passing the ball. Definitely has been more efficient deep passing and in crossing routes. But right now, Card is not giving up this job without a fight. Like, he is taking this to the wire. At least that's what the reports are saying. Again, you may not believe that. You may say, hey, there's no way they don't give the job to Quinn Ewers. And I think I kind of lean in that camp, especially after what I heard at the Elite 11. But the fact that everybody's talking about how good Card has looked, and this is not coming from the coaching staff, this is coming from people who are watching practice and other reports. Some of it is coming from coaches as well. Like, it's not great for Quinn, especially because it's very well known that Sark runs a very complicated offense, and the fact that Card has had a year in that system, I do think gives him a little bit of upside over Quinn Ewers. There have been a lot of whispers, obviously, as well about Arch Manning heading to Texas. He made a second visit here recently. There was a lot of reports talking about how they've kind of made it a second home to him. Don't overlook the other quarterback that came in this past year in Malik Murphy. He was at practice today without a walking boot on. There are pictures of him going into practice without the walking boot. Looks like he is healthy. He did not practice. He was on the sideline, but definitely a promising note to mention that he did not have on a walking boot. All right, two schools that we're going to talk about really quick in the Pac-12, and then we're going to get out of here. That will get us through 7 schools today. Again, plan is to do 7 to 10 schools every day this week to kind of keep you guys rocking and rolling as spring is coming to an end here. I'm going to go to Arizona. We already know, it seems like at least, that Jayden de Laura is likely going to be the starting quarterback there. All the reports are saying that he's going to be the starter. Cowing and Tet McMillan are continuing to just really impress there at Arizona. The quote that I have here is the wide receivers are definitely the strength of our offense with the different sizes, combinations, and skill sets out there. I expect Arizona is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. But again, I mentioned it on the very first episode that we talked about Arizona. Noah Fifita, Fifita. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, but he is a true freshman. Reports are that he has a rocket arm. He's mostly been running with the twos, but they think he has more zip. And in all honesty, he's just a better passer than Jayden de Laura. I don't know that this is going to mean anything this year. But the fact that they're already saying that they think he's better than Jayden de Laura, like, I would not be surprised if this is not Fifita's job next year. And again, I want a quarterback. I want the quarterback in the Washington State offense. So Noah Fifita, a guy that I guarantee you nobody is talking about outside of our spring practice reports, and I can guarantee you has not been drafted in a single C2C draft. Maybe someone who listened to the spring practice report a week or two ago when I mentioned him. Outside of that, he's not being drafted. I will 100% take a shot on him being my last pick. Just apparently is really, really impressing at camp, and that is what you like to hear from a true freshman. Don't know that it means anything this year again, but maybe the future of the Washington State program. And I'm sorry, the Arizona program. I don't know why I said Washington State. I do know why I was thinking that. Washington, at least, because we're going to hit Washington last. They did open up camp today. All indications point to this is going to be a battle between Heward and Penix. Obviously, Penix, knowing DeBoer and working with him before, some people think gives him an edge. I still think Heward's the better player and likely the guy, or at least I believe and hope that he's going to be the guy that wins the job. Jalen McMillan and Rome Odunze in camp today looked good in their first practice. Will say that Sam Heward, so when he came into college last year, he was listed a little over 6 foot and about 195. Came into practice today at 202 and holding. So he is up over 200 pounds. Again, excuse me. Let's see if that affects him at all, mobility-wise or anything like that. I'd imagine it doesn't. Washington kicking off theirs today. A lot of talk about that quarterback battle. It's a one that I am watching very closely, as I do think, obviously, Kalen DeBoer, one of the better offensive game callers in college football right now, what he was able to do at Fresno State. And even before that, they've got some weapons on the outside, and I really think that if Heward gets this job, and honestly, even if Penix does, although I don't think Penix has the upside Heward does, this is going to be a fun offense to watch, and whoever the quarterback is and those wide receivers in McMillan and Odunze are going to be a lot of fun to watch. I've mentioned many times that Heward and whichever, Odunze is going later, so a lot of people are probably going to take Odunze, but that stack is going to be a lot of fun for CFF this year. But it's not his job yet, but I do think it's good that he's up over 200 pounds. So that will do it for us today. We'll be back again tomorrow, probably promptly at 7 o'clock as Devy Debate kicks off tomorrow night with another 7 to 10 schools where we will discuss different spring practice reports. Everybody have a great night, and I will look forward to talking to you guys again tomorrow.